watch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into another Football Friday. Yeah, we got football this weekend. Kind of feels weird, though, with the Bucs out of it, even though it's championship week. Wow, it's good that it feels weird, right? Like, for many, many years, it felt very appropriate that we had no business talking about football this deep into the season, but not anymore. Now, we might go back to that, but we shall see. Welcome into Friday football here. We're going to talk a lot of hockey, too, right? What a game last night as the Lightning beat the big, bad Boston Bruins 3-2, and all their loud, obnoxious fans had to tuck their tail and walk out of the arena. Aww. So sad. Thank you for your donation to the Stamkos Extension Fund. Now take your L and be gone with you. Yeah, they were loud last night. What's up, Nick Geddes from Outsider.com? How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. And the best part about it, a Lightning victory over the Boston Bruins in a game that I thought was hard. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
everything looked like it was really hard out there for both teams.
And there was a speed and intensity to that game that just was a notch up. That was playoff hockey last night.
Yeah, I was telling you, there was like a hostility that came over the TV like 5 minutes in. And I think Dave Randorf, there was like he was quiet for like maybe like 5 seconds. He's like, do you hear this crowd right now? He's like, it feels like it's May right at the moment.
Yeah. It does. It really did. It was because when you have that many Boston fans in there, I got to tell you, I couldn't tell from the roar of the crowd whether it was Tampa Bay or Boston scoring. It was that even last night. And, you know, that's look, I know fans get pissed off about that. Lightning fans get pissed off about it. We have a lot of season ticket holders, so we can control that as much as we want to control it. But I was talking with Brian Engblom about this on the last call show, and I kind of like it. It just adds energy to the building, man. It really, really does, because somebody's always cheering. There are no dead moments. You know, when normally if it's just your crowd and the other team's having their way, it gets kind of quiet. But not last night, because somebody was cheering about something, and it was very much an up and down hockey game. Great goaltending by two of the best in the game. Ullmark's just having a Vezina season, just tremendous numbers, goals against at 1.8. Just 25 wins, just ridiculous numbers. And Vasi showed up last night to say, you know what, you may have the better numbers. I'm still the best goaltender in the world. And he made some huge, huge saves last night and was just so cool and comfortable in that. He was just tremendous. Brian Bradley's going to join us at 11 o'clock to talk some Lightning. Corey Long's going to join us at 10:15 to talk Lightning and Bucks and college football. So we got lots of stuff going on today. We'll get to all the Lightning stuff, but yeah, that was a game, one of those games that in the regular season you really remember. And Tuesday night game against the Wild was fantastic. There have been some really, really good games at Amalie Arena, and the Bolts win their 11th straight game at home. You know, as good as Boston has been at home, they've only lost one game. The Lightning are 18-4 at home. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. Yeah. And to beat a team, I mean, I didn't even know it. I knew that they were probably up there, but they had started out the best of any team in NHL history.
Yeah, they only had
coming
5
to this
losses.
Game. 5 losses.
Regular
when
losses.
I saw that in like the pregame, I was like trying to like process that. I'm like 5 losses.
Yeah.
And then like I said, like the game started and like the first 10 minutes, I think the Lightning had like 2 shots.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my goodness.
A
Like
little slow start. Yeah.
It was, but I was just more like looking at Boston, like, oh my gosh, they clog up everything.
Yeah.
And like Ullmark just plays with so much confidence. But to your point, Vasilevsky, great when he needs to be in. I don't know about you, but the final 2 minutes of that game, very stressful.
Yes.
Boston had the puck the entire time.
Yeah.
And he kept just making save after save. I mean, he made the last one on Pasternak, who it's amazing that guy didn't score last night because he was all over the place, but Vasilevsky got him at every single shot he had.
I think this was a very important game for playoff seasoning, so to speak. And I think, you know, John Cooper did something this week that was really good. He basically put it on the players. He said, let's see what you got, guys. You know, because he knows that this is an ebb and flow season, right? It's a season of let's evolve into the team that we need to be in the first part of the season. We got a lot of new guys in a lot of new places. We got to replace Palat. We got to replace McDonough. We got to evolve. We got to reinvent ourselves. So what's it going to look like? And I think we've gotten to the point where, okay, now I think they know what their roles are for the most part. And now let's see what you got. Go out there and do it against one of the better teams. And the thing is, the Lightning have taken some hits in the national media, and I think rightfully so, because they haven't really played their best against the best teams. And they've taken care of business against the lesser teams, which you got to do, much those points. But they have not been as good against maybe the upper echelon. And they had lost 2 games to Boston. I think, and not that they were really one-sided, but if you watch those games, you're like, we're not quite on their level yet.
Yeah.
We're just not quite on their level yet. We're a step behind. There's no question about it. Last night, I didn't think that. I thought it was very even, if not the Lightning having more scoring chances last night. They got more shot attempts off. I think the shots on goal were 39-35 Boston, but total shots 57-55 Lightning. And I think they created more chances. And Ullmark was fantastic, and so was Vasi. But, that championship medal comes through with the Lightning. They just didn't stop. They were winning puck battles. I thought their energy and their intensity level was tremendous. You talk about the Hedman goal at the end, and while there was a little bit of puck luck there as Carlo basically was trying to defend Point, and as Brian Engbaum said last night, when Point's coming at you, you kind of lose as a defenseman when he's bringing that speed and skill. You lose perspective on where you are, and he ran right into Ullmark, knocked him down, and Hedman was smart enough to say, he turned around, saw him on the ground on the ice, and said, well, I'm going to go ahead and shoot it. I don't know if it's goalie interference or not. I'm just shooting the puck. It was a great shot, went up high with it, and it's just his 3rd goal of the year, but man, that was a huge one. That's a huge win for this Lightning team to just kind of, they were challenged by their coach. They went out there and they met the challenge.
Yeah, and on the point about Victor Hedman, they were actually talking about him on the broadcast, literally in between that break before that play began, and talking about how his points had gone up. His number, I think he had 22 points in 20 games or something like that, after having only 2 in the entire month of November.
Yeah.
And remember, we were talking about, well, he's probably nursing an injury, and I think Gabby Shirley spoke to him before the game, and they showed it right before the goal. He said, yeah, I feel a lot more healthier now, both physically and mentally at this point than I did at the beginning of the season, which we talked about it. They played 71 playoff games in 3 years, the most anybody's played in that span in NHL history. But a Victor Hedman that's focused like that and that is in good shape, and it's a much better Lightning team. Yeah,
and I like where this team is headed. I think Brisebois might tweak some things at the deadline. I don't think there's going to be any major changes. There's been a lot of smoke around Luke Shen and bringing him back. I think that might be something we see, but I don't think there's going to be major changes, nor do I think there needs to be major changes. I think this team is, from a personnel standpoint, they don't have a lot of maneuverability in terms of the salary cap, only about $719,000, which would allow just one minimum player. Yeah. So they've got to trade a player to get a player, and I just don't see anything major happening, and that's fine. I think this team, as it's constituted, is good enough. Yeah. And I don't think Boston's making. I mean, you're not making any changes when you've got a record like this. So it's not like they're.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what their cap situation is. No, I can't imagine it's as strapped as the Lightning are.
No, it's soon to be more strapped. They're gonna have to pay pasta.
Yeah, and the price continues to go up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went here to the old money puck machine, which I love, which kind of has all this. That right there, that's the Lightning's chances.
Show the people
if they can see it right there.
See it right there.
Look at all that blue right there at the bottom or on the left side there on the screen. That's all in front of Ullmark. So that kind of, to me, shows how good the Lightning were. They were getting those grade A chances, but Ullmark did a really good job at defending them. And then you go to Boston's, a lot of theirs, like their biggest one is coming out from the face-off dot. So a little further out where their best chances were. And in a tight game like that, sometimes that's the difference. Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, Hedman's goal, talk about what the true difference is. I mean, it's kind of I don't know. What would you describe that goal?
Hedman's goal?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really smart.
It's very unfortunate, I'd say, on Boston's in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if that happened to the Lightning, you'd be like, that's just puck luck. It's bad luck. Yeah. But you also tip of the cap to Hedman for snapping that puck. I mean, he was there. He was in the right place, and it was a hell of a shot, too. So, yeah, I mean, you got to take advantage of opportunities like that. And the Lightning had another situation where Vasi thought he had to save, and that puck was just sitting behind him like a big freaking watermelon. And Cirelli made a tremendous play to keep I forget who it was, but just to kind of box out and keep that Boston player.
I'm almost positive it was Pasternak.
I think it was Pasternak, and he did a great job, and then somebody swept it away. But it seemed like it was there for about 10 minutes, just sitting right there. But and that's the thing. The Lightning were very dogged last night. I loved their effort. I loved Nick Paul may have gotten the worst of that fight, but he certainly got into it. There were scraps. There was a lot of physicality. It was just really like a playoff game, and the Lightning answered the bell. I mean, and like I said, those two earlier matchups had me a little spooked. I was like, oh, wow, Boston's really good, and I don't think we're quite up to their level. And last night said the Lightning are. They can, and if they can hang with Boston, and it's not like Boston played a poor game.
No, I thought Vasilevsky stole a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because I still think Pasternak was his normal self. Again, if you look at the numbers, he was the best player on the ice for either team.
Yeah.
That's what it would tell you. So I just think Vasilevsky was that good. But that's the X factor. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday going to the game, and you get into a playoff scenario, and let's just say these two teams end up meeting each other.
Yeah, which I think they might.
I mean, you take your bet. You want to trust Ullmark, or do you want to, even though he's going to win the Vezina most likely, do you want to trust him, or do you want to trust the other guy?
Well, it's a stark contrast. I mean, we did this yesterday. You look at Ullmark's postseason numbers. He's 0-2, and both of those came last year in Boston with a 4.19 goals against. It's a vast difference from what he's doing right now. And obviously, this is a different team under a different coaching staff, so I get that. And they're leading the league in goals against. So they're good for a formidable team. But as Brian Engblom and Dave Andrechuk and Chief and all these guys that have witnessed this Lightning run through the playoffs, who know a lot about hockey and know a lot about playoff hockey, say it's like having that quarterback in football. That goalie in the playoffs is a difference maker, and experience in the playoffs counts as a goalie. To be able to go through that grind for literally 2 months and have to have your focus night in and night out every other night as sharp, and it takes an emotional toll, it takes a mental toll, it takes a physical toll. And to Andrei Vasilevsky, that's hockey. That's just what he does. He is as used to this and has played more playoff games for a 28-year-old than maybe the goalie in the history of the game. And there's Ullmark with two playoff games. He's not gone through the run. And it's not just going out there and playing a couple of good games. You got to put them back to back to back to back to back. That's a different level. And some guys can do it and some guys can't. He might be able to. We don't know. But we know about Vasilevsky. We've got plenty of sample size. So if it comes down to that, these two teams seem pretty even to me. But when it comes to the goaltending, there's a decided advantage to the Tampa Bay
I was going to
Lightning.
say that. I just, on the spot here, I was like, I wonder where Vasilevsky sits on most games played in the postseason.
Oh, my God.
He's 13th on the list with
104.
104.
Right?
There's only one active goaltender that has more on him, and it's Marc-Andre Fleury, who's like 40 years old.
Right.
And he's a good what? He's 12 ahead of the next highest, which is Jonathan Quick, and then Carey Price, and then he's just so far and ahead the rest of the pack, and he's younger than all these guys by a good margin.
Yeah, I mean, and that matters. Playoff experience matters, and like I said, it's just not the number of games; it's the length of the campaigns. I mean, this guy's gone to 3 straight conference finals, and he knows how to prepare himself. He knows how emotionally and mentally. It's a big edge. Ullmark is a complete unknown in the playoffs. And I'm not going to judge his playoff numbers just on that and say he can't do it in the playoffs. That would be silly. This is a different situation, but that's a significant difference between these two teams. You might say that Boston has an edge in the 5-on-5. Judging from last night, I wouldn't say that. The Lightning had, like I said, 59 shot attempts and just as many, if not more, scoring chances.
Yeah, if the Lightning hit the net on some of those too, I thought they had Ullmark beat. Like Hagel had I think it was Hagel who came down the left side when they had like a 3-on-1.
He hit the crossbar.
He hit the crossbar. He had him beat. I think Bogosian had a really good chance from the side angle.
Stammer did.
Stammer had a lot of them.
Yeah.
Cooch had some quick releases. So just again, the margin of error in that game was just so tight.
Yeah, and the Cooch goal off the face-off from Stamkos, that was a piece of work. And we were talking on the last call last night about the anticipation of Kucherov. He's always looking around. Before he even gets the puck, he knows where he's going with it. And before he took that shot, he knew where he was going with it. And you want to talk about a clean win, and that thing was in the back of the net before Ullmark could even get set. You could see it from my angle. He was, you know how they get down in that crouch when they're ready to make a save. He wasn't even in that position yet. He was just like, he was getting ready to go down, and he just looked behind him, and that puck was in the net. That was a hell of a shot by Kucherov. You got that one?
Yep.
Let's hear the call from Dave Randorf on Bally Sports.
Or it's Lightning Radio.
Lightning Radio. There we go. Mission Phil.
To miss the start of the season, which they did. Krejci and Stamkos on the draw. One for Kucherov. Score! Wow. Kucherov! Right off the face-off. A Stamkos face-off win. Kucherov zips it in. It's 2-1 Lightning. 58 seconds into the third.
How fast was that? A clean face-off win by Stamkos, and Kuch, he didn't wait. I'm not even half a second. I mean, he just snapped it. Ulmer couldn't even move. He moved when the puck went by him. Just a quick snapshot. The puck was on edge, too, and Kuch just snapped it quickly, boy. Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
He's world class. He's just world class.
It's great with the accuracy of that. It's just high in the corner and right off the freaking jump. Man, what a goal.
Yeah, and clean face-off, which I think that was my last point before we get to Corey here. I think at one point, I don't know how he finished, but Patrice Bergeron, who's generally regarded as one of the great face-off fans in the league, at one point, I think they said on the broadcast, he was 2 for 11 on in the face-off circle. You ever seen Patrice Bergeron have a night like that in the face-off circle?
No.
Not many.
No.
Not many. That just tells you the Lightning were ready to go for this.
They were.
They really were. I think that was the best that they can offer you right there.
Yeah, and it's good enough. Certainly good enough. And I'll take 7 of those. I'll take 6, actually, because that would mean they end it in Emily Arena. We don't have to go back to Boston.
Yeah, can we stop having all these great moments elsewhere, please? Can we have these great moments back here again?
That would be nice. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Corey Long's going to join us. We'll talk some Bolts, some college football. We're going to get into the Jaden Rashada situation, the NIL at the Gators and where he's headed. I also talk some Buccaneer football as well. We'll get to Brady. Of course, we have to talk Brady. It's the law. We'll do that when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you've been injured in an accident or had your car totaled, see if you have a case. Give them a free call. Contact them through the website at jeeveslawgroup.com and Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Back with Corey Long in moments. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now,
they have everything right there in-house, so why go anywhere else? And you can get up to 15% off this January if you buy something with the birthstone, which is garnet. Garnet and gold, Florida State, get something for your favorite Seminole. And let's not forget the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Very affordable, real gold and diamond jewelry, always stylish and unique. Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching, modern geometrical shapes. Really unique stuff. Got to check it out. And, of course, Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors here in the local community. So let's keep it local. And you can get 0% financing for up to 5 years. Get a big ring for a little price. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Italiano Insurance folks over there. Get your insurance checkup at 813-877-7799. They'll save you hundreds, thousands of dollars maybe. Just let them shop that insurance around, your home insurance, your auto insurance, life insurance, business insurance, whatever. They'll shop the companies, do all the work, and you save the money. Free call, 813-877-7799. Talk to a human being. Cool stuff. Hey, let's talk to Corey Long, who covers the Bolts and the Bucks, and talks all things college football as well. What's up, Corey Long? How are you, my friend?
I'm good. It's a nice Friday. Are
chilly.
you still talking about Brady?
Dude.
Guys, don't kick that can down the road. Let it go.
Let it go.
You had the moment. You had the Super Bowl. You had the nice playoff run. It's over. Don't. You know what? Don't go like 9-9, 10-8, losing the first round,
middle
and you're
ground.
picking 20th. You know, it's not the way to work.
I am with you, brother. It's
Yeah.
You never want to be stuck in the middle. You know, whether NBA or the NFL now, you were either get back to it or tear it all down. And
I tell you this: 3 of the 4 teams this weekend in the championship. Now, obviously, that's going to change in the future, but 3 of them right now have rookie money invested in their quarterbacks.
That's
the only one that doesn't is Kansas City, and they've got the quarterback that's good enough that he can win with some deficiencies on the team. You know, and Cincinnati does too, and I think Jalen Hurts is a hell of an upside. But, you know, where you want to be is San Francisco, where they've got 2 quarterbacks right now that have 3 years left on their rookie deals.
Yeah.
And there's no rush. Like, they were like, what are they going to do with Trey Lance? What are they going to keep him?
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan's not going to trade that kid till he sees what he can do in his offense.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no value to him right now because he's only started, I think, 3 or 4 games in this league.
Right.
So why would you trade him? Like, you basically have 2 years of seeing what he can do at a discount, basically next to nothing.
Right. And I think we're starting to think that maybe you and I could play quarterback for the 49ers and be okay. I mean, they're just...
You may be. My lateral movement is not good enough to play in the system anymore.
I still got a few left in this right arm, I think. I don't know. But, you know, this week's, and we'll talk about this week's game in a little bit, but the Brady thing, you know, everybody's coming at me for this, that, and the other. I'm not like saying Brady's coming back or he's not coming back. I've said I think when he looks around, Tampa Bay is going to be as good a situation as any. But there's so much about this situation that we don't know. How important was his desire to live actually in Miami instead of a 45-minute plane ride away? If I were him, I'd rather stay here in Tampa. That'd be too close for me because you could still see your kids, but you can't, you can't go over there and have lunch with them at school or do something like that or go watch their games on a regular basis. So who knows what's going to go into it? I know family's going to be big for him. Situation is going to be big for him. There's going to be a lot that goes into it, but I really, I just trying to read the tea leaves here, and I don't know. It seems to me there's more information pointing him towards leaving than coming back, but who knows? You got a gut feeling on either way?
I think he's leaving, and I do agree with you in the sense that that the family situation, his kids are going to be very important, and this is probably me speaking from just losing a parent pretty fresh in my mind, but you don't get those years back. And, the thing you hate is that 10 years from now, you don't want a man to think, you know what, I lost those years because I wanted to play my 24th year in the league that didn't really reward me for it,
right.
25th year in the league. And I lost the important stuff. So, I think he's gone, but I don't think he's gone because this is a bad situation. Otherwise, I think he's gone because I think it might just be time. It's just the way things seem to be working right now. It just might be best for him to, if there's another situation, great. If not, he's going to make like $400 million from Fox to be a broadcaster. Like he's got other options. He's okay.
Right. Yeah, and I think more than anything, he doesn't know yet. He said that, and Aikman and Buck spent time with him, and they said the same thing, that he just doesn't know, and I think there's a lot for him to decide and more information for him to get. Who's going to be the Bucs offensive coordinator? Who's going to be the Dolphins situation? What's that going to look like? Are they going to be able to beef up the offensive line? Will their defense get better? I think there's a lot to be learned, and situations will change. Where's Sean Payton going? So we'll see. We'll see how it all works out.
One last thing, he's the GOAT. We know this. I'd much rather him retire than the game retire him.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it's usually the latter. And
usually the latter.
And you know what? I think there were moments, and especially that pick, that were embarrassing for him this year. And I think those moments are going to be more frequent than he would like to maybe really admit in his sober mind. It was tough for him this year, and I think if he just says it was because of the offensive coordinator and Ryan Jensen not being there, I think that's foolhardy. He did not play well, and his shoulder and his finger, I think, were part of that. He's going to battle injuries. If he thinks, well, I can get a shoulder better, well, guess what? You're going to get hit again. And he tries to play to not get hit, and he just can't play that way in the NFL. And I think he learned that. So.
And as I might have told you a little earlier, a few calls ago, is that the refs were not giving him calls this year. I think psychologically that messed with his mind a little bit. He's used to certain protections that the refs were not giving him this year.
No, I think it's another great point. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Lightning last night. John Cooper.
Talk a lot about them.
Yes,
damn it.
Yes.
All right.
John Cooper challenged them. I love this about Coop. He's just like, hey, let's see what you guys got. You got 3 playoff teams coming in before the break. Let's see what you got. You guys know what you're playing well. We've got everybody in the spots that we want them now. We've evolved as a team. This is where we want to be. Now it's time for you to go match up, go match the intensity of that other team. They're the big bad bullies now, the Boston Bruins. They're coming into your house. You've lost to them twice. Let's see what you got. And I thought the boys responded last night in spectacular fashion. I thought that was their overall, maybe the best game they've played all year. What about you?
I mean, that's just an incredible hockey game. I mean, that was just you talk about, a lot of some momentum shifts, just tremendous goaltending on both sides, a lot of high quality chances, really, and I think the best thing was seeing the teams, they've been resilient forever, but you always love to see it tested again. They score to make it 2-1. The Bruins get it back on the next shift, and the Bruins had really dominated the second period, really took them into deep water. So you were wondering how they're going to respond after giving up, after getting a 2-1 lead and then giving up on the next shift. And I think they played just a tremendous final 15 minutes of hockey. And you get a lucky break. Carlo takes out Olmark on a play, and Hedman's able to shoot into a pretty open net because of it. But still, they played tremendously. I thought the last 120 minutes, for the most part, it's been tremendous hockey. I thought that Wild game was exceptional. Great. And again, on both sides, because you're playing high quality. You're playing just high quality teams that have great players that are winning. That the Wild should be competitive out in the West if they can get out of that first round jinx that they've been in.
Yeah.
The Bruins are the Bruins. They're always going to be what they're going to be, and they played well last night. Boston played a very good final two periods, and the boys were up to the challenge. They were up for everything. And again, I can't say enough about just the way the goaltending on both sides was. I mean, you look at it like an average goaltending game, and that's a 7-5 type of game right there.
Yeah,
because there were a lot of high danger chances on both ends and a lot of great saves.
What do you think this means in terms of the playoffs? I mean, like I said, Boston, I thought, was decidedly better team in the first two matchups, and I thought last night it was much more, even if not the Lightning creating more scoring chances. So, and I just talked about how much better Vasilevsky is than Ullmark in terms of their playoff experience, which really, really matters. So,
absolutely.
I mean, I look at these two teams. I thought Boston was way, way better maybe in the first couple of games. But if this is an even 5-on-5, and the Lightning special teams were good last night, I think for the most part, Vasi's the difference. Vasi is just more experienced, even though Ullmark's got amazing numbers this year, and it's a different Boston coaching staff. I get it, but that stuff matters. So what do you think it means in terms of the playoffs?
There's still so much to be decided, and I'm curious of how both teams manufacture things before the deadline. I'm definitely curious of how Boston does it because, and it's almost like, boy, did the Lightning kind of do them a favor last night? Because are they a good team? They're an excellent team. And Boston's a great team. You don't get 80 points at this stage and not be great. But it's like, here's the things that we found out in 18, 19 is that you have to make moves at the deadline. You got to do something to shake your team up a little bit. You can't expect them to continue to play at this pace. Even if they do play at the pace for the whole regular season, that shoe's eventually going to drop if you don't have something to shake them up a little bit. And it might just be, and in Boston's case, they might just need a veteran, part-time, seventh defenseman, whatever. You just need something in there that just gets the locker room a little bit on tilt. Yeah. And that was the one thing that Julien BriseBois learned after 18-19, and he hasn't given it up. And even though they have no money right now, I have no doubt he's going to figure out to do something at the trade deadline because you have to do something. There will be teams that are going to get better.
How do you, if you're Boston, though, what do you do? Where's their weakness? Like, what would you, I mean, why would you shake up anything they got going? I mean, all four of their lines are doing what they should. They're playing tremendous defensive hockey. Why would, and that's the dilemma sometimes. I think, I don't know if it's Yzerman or BriseBois, but there was one when the Lightning went out to, the 60-win year, it was like, what are they going to do at the deadline? Well, what should you do? You're playing freaking unbelievable hockey. Do you want to mess with the chemistry? Do you want to give them a little jolt? So I don't know.
I think that was BriseBois' first year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think Yzerman had Yzerman had dumped into his whatever role he was going to be in until he was able to go to Detroit. And I think, here's what I say to that is that, everybody's doing well right now, but it's January.
Right.
What we need these things to work in April, May, and June.
Right.
So you almost have to project what's going to happen. They can run into a rash of injuries. You can do a lot of things. You have to so much protect against the unknown, and also look, like that's what I said last night, did the Lightning do them a favor? That was an April, May type of game last night. And you start thinking, okay, do we have enough to beat with Vasilevsky playing at that level, do we have enough to beat them 4 times in 7?
Right.
Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I need us to get more to we do than maybe we do. Maybe we do is a bad place to be.
Yeah. Well, what did last night tell you? I mean, but you're right.
Last night told me that Vasilevsky can steal games from them.
Yeah.
Where they play well, because they played extreme. That second period, that's the period where Boston gets 3-4 goals. The way they played last night, they got one.
Yeah.
And the one was kind of even one. The one I'm sure the Big Cat was angry about, because that was kind of a softie. That probably wasn't one that he gives up more times than not. So you start thinking about things like that. Is that this guy can steal games from us?
Sure.
And that's the same thing that the Maple Leafs are thinking. They experienced it last year. These guys, the Lightning needed one game on the road that whole series, and they got it. And and they got it in Game 7 because their goalie's so damn good.
Right.
So you start, and that's the thing. You start thinking about things like that, and that's just not. And here's the thing: that's just not the Lightning. The Boston. What did they draw the New York Rangers in the first round?
Right.
Igor Shesterkin can steal it from them. So
That's
you
right.
start thinking about things like that. Like, who are we going to face? Who are the teams that we know can get 4 on us, even if we play our best hockey offensively?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at when you go on a trade deadline.
Yeah, and Boston's one of them. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And Kucherov, we can talk for days and days about him, but last night I thought was one of those performances when you're playing a great team and he's a difference maker. The pass to Hagel on the power play finds him right in front, little no-look pass, and a great shot by Hagel, by the way, to roof that in so close. That was a great shot. And then Kucherov's goal was just, wow, that was spectacular. His anticipation of that face-off win by Stamkos was amazing. And the Hedman goal was a bit of a lucky strike, but he was quick with the puck when Ullmark went down. So, but Kucherov last night, three points again, just tremendous.
Yeah, just the brilliance of his game, and it's a little unfortunate this year because you've got Connor McDavid almost at 150 point pace, but the brilliance of his game. This is he's having another MVP quality season, as good of a season as he's having as a professional, maybe as good as the season that he had when he did win the Hart Trophy.
Right.
And this, and they need it. This team, right now, the top 6 scoring is what's driving teams. We look at this Lightning team, and they're not getting a lot on they're not getting a lot of offense from their third and fourth lines, but most teams aren't getting a lot of offense from the third and fourth line. So you need your top guys to be brilliant. He's been that this year, and you're seeing the moves that they make. Especially the Brandon Hagel move. I know that cost a lot of draft capital. That was a big move. They traded a couple players. They traded some major picks, and this kid, he's 24 years old, and he's got so much to his game to like. He's so gritty. He's tough. He can score. He plays defense. We saw in the playoffs last year. Yeah. He's out there on a broken foot. He gets it. He gets it.
Yep.
Nick Paul gets it. The trades that they've made to keep this team where they are, these guys get it. They understand their roles. They understand what they need to do and when they need to do it.
Totally agree with that. You want to transition a little bit to some college football here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Nick's got a question for you.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I see that Miami fires Josh Gaddis. And this has me, again, I'm not going to claim that I know all the ins and outs of what's going on at Miami, but I do know that Josh Gaddis started 2022 as the Broyles Award winner, the top assistant in the entire country at Michigan. 1 year at Miami where Van Dyke is injured and they're obviously going through a rebuild. And even this late, like we're almost getting to February and he's fired. And I guess my problem is here, and I want your take on this, is Mario Cristobal. I find it interesting that his entire career, he's a 500 head coach. He's 67-67. And we had Justin Herbert for 3 years at Oregon and the offense underachieved there. I mean, are we sure that it's not a Cristobal thing and it just feels like Gaddis is being scapegoated here?
Well, most assistants, if you're an assistant in college or NFL football, there's a good chance you get scapegoated. Look at the Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley was like, I think Marcus Spears said it was like the first 48. He's like, don't look at me, look at Joe Donovan. That's that guy. That's what you look at right there. he's a problem. No, and I know Mario's record is what it is because of his time at FIU, which was, has never been a good program by any stretch of the imagination. I thought he should have fired both of his coordinators, to be honest. And it's not that I think that they're bad coaches. I don't think there's that many bad coaches at that level of football. But how well does he fit with what you're doing? And I just saw, fit with the talent that you want to bring in and what your vision is. And I just don't know that him and Gaddis really are aligned there. I thought they would be, with Mario being an offensive line guy, and Gaddis being sort of a power, a coach that, runs a lot of, big physical football and is very comfortable in that realm. But it didn't work out for the reasons that it didn't work out for. I want to see who he hires now. I'm more curious. Yeah, it happened late. But, right now, Mario has full control of that program. Mm-hmm. So he's going to do what he wants. And, it could have been philosophical. It could have been a personal decision. It could have been very simply that he looked at things and said, you know what? We looked at the landscape and said, I don't think right now we have the right mix of things we need to compete. I don't really want to get into his head on this, but for it to happen at this stage, I do feel like he took a look at the program, maybe, from an outside looking in, and realized that some things weren't right.
Yeah, it is curious timing between the different signing periods. Yeah, and I got to ask you about this Jaden Rashada thing as well. The NIL deal that collapsed at Florida, supposed to be $13 million, which is the biggest NIL deal I think I've heard of yet. Which evidently it wasn't true.
Yeah.
They didn't have the money. So
they didn't have the money. Yeah. Somebody was drinking too many at Spurrier's bar and just made a phone call. Why do you lie?
13 million.
13. Fine. Done. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to wonder, how are these things being done? Because obviously in the NFL with free agency, there are parameters, right? There's times when you could talk to a guy and not. There's precedent of other contracts. There's salary caps. There's all kinds of things. There's the CBA that guide you and have rules and regulations for these payments. None of that exists in college football. It's just whatever the hell you want to do with whomever you want to do it. You have a contract. Does that mean you're actually getting the money? Well, clearly no. That doesn't matter either now. So what the hell does this mean for college football?
For this situation, I think it's more of just a failure. I point the finger at Scott Strickland because I think your AD is the only real conduit you have right now between who's handling what third parties are handling your NIL and being able to be associated with the program,
right?
And actually the program. He's the AD or whoever he decides handling that is kind of that middle person. They're going to be the ones who are going to be handling communication on both sides. Again, I don't fault Jaden Rashada. Somebody told him he was going to get this money.
Right.
Somebody didn't deliver. He shouldn't have to, he shouldn't have to play for them. If they don't deliver that. But again, we've talked about this before. People not understanding all the elements that go into these deals, and I'm not an expert at it either. But for a 15-year-old, top young kid that's, on the cusp of getting recruited by every school in the nation, your first thought is Florida doesn't pay.
Right.
Florida don't pay.
Right.
And that's just it. That's all you're thinking.
Yeah.
Florida doesn't pay. I'm not interested in them. They're going to give me some whack deal, and it's not going to work, and no one's going to. So this is how it works. It seems like more programs than not have at least figured out some elements in the NIL where it's not, either they're going to do it a certain way or they're not.
Right.
I'm curious of how, I'm curious for guys like Nick. I'm curious of how UCF, how are they going to manage, jumping into a Power Five conference. You got to have something rolling now. You got to have something going. I know they've done a lot of great things within the infrastructure of that program, but now their NIL is going to have to. It's what's going to keep them competitive.
Yeah, and
because they're walking into a whole new world right now. You know.
Yeah, and I think they're going to learn that. I don't know where other programs were when they were going into the Power Five, like some of the newer kind of entries there, but the fan base is very passionate, and they obviously have. I mean, I'd say they're one of the more passionate, even if they're a little delusional at times. A lot of delusional, rather. They're very passionate, and they do spend a lot of money and put a lot into the program and invest. So I think that helps them, and I think they have a forward-thinking AD and Terry Mahajer. And I mean, listen, before the NIL really had got off the ground, I mean, they were doing the whole QR code thing during the 2021 spring game, and Gus has kept saying that, embrace it. So I think it at least gives them a fighting shot. But I mean, what's the right way though? I don't think anybody knows.
And the right way is a team that wins. I guess the right way is to figure out how to win every year with it. I think FSU and I told you, I've criticized a lot of things they've done, but I think I know that they have a couple of collectives, and I know that they've kind of focused this battles in one on their roster retention. And the kids that are within the program and getting deals with them. And I think it's worked. And, it's definitely worked for them going into next season because all those kids returned.
Right.
So, they're not recruiting. They're not really recruiting at the high school level to say that the NIL is really a big issue for them there.
Right.
I mean, they're just not, they're not putting together classes with number one high school All-Americans right now. So it's not really, so they've decided that where they're going to focus their resources and their NIL is going to be transfer portal and roster retention. And that's what's worked for them right now.
And if you look at the roster retention, just in terms of players that are coming back next year, so I would say if you isolate talent kept and talent being brought in for this season coming forward, you can have all the rankings you want of high school classes and all that stuff, but I'll put this team and the people that they brought back up against anybody in the nation. Yeah, sure, Alabama got a great recruiting class, but even as good as some of those kids are, they're still 2 and 3 years away from playing at a championship level, whereas Jared Verse was going to be the 6th pick in the draft, for God's sakes. And now he's coming back to play college football. So, I mean, when you're bringing back talent like that, to me, that trumps, 2 or 3 4-stars that you're bringing in at a freshman level for this coming year anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick, here's where I break JP's heart. When you're bringing talent back like that, do you really want Adam Fuller to be your defensive coordinator?
Oh, shut
up.
I'm
just saying.
You know what?
I mean,
I got a guy coming off the edge like that. I don't need to coach.
When Dabo hired Garrett Riley, you were reminded right there, Dabo's still taking this seriously. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
It's the number one reason why I don't buy Florida State next year as this whole top 4.
The only reason why I just
don't buy it.
Is Adam Fuller.
That defense is still a little bit of a liability.
It is, no question about it. They've added to it though. They've got some linebackers now. They beefed up the inside as well. Lovett's coming back. They'll have a good 4-man rotation in the middle. They got some guys coming off the edge now that they've added. Hey, hopefully it's better because it wasn't very good against Oklahoma or Florida.
Fans out there fully endorsed. There's no Adam Fuller endorsements. They're just like, hopefully the team is talented enough to play in spite of him. We'll see.
You can't have everything. You can't have everything. Let's bring Monty. Let's get Monty Kiffin in there.
You can't have a Power 5 defensive coordinator if you're going to have Power 5 players. I guess.
Right. You got to poke a hole somewhere. All right, my friend. Thanks so much for the conversation, as always.
Absolutely, guys.
You can follow Corey at Corey Long, Corey, and get all his great information and content right there. All right, partner. I'll see you at the arena if I can get there on Saturday through all the Gasparilla.
Good luck with you. I think I'll have to get there a little early. Good luck for you. I know no one partakes in Gasparilla much like JP Peterson.
So. I can't when I'm working though, bro. I can't. Last year was I'm sitting at these parties and there's free booze everywhere, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I got to go work tonight, so I'm being a good boy. And try being the sober one at Gasparilla. That sucks. That is absolutely that is the worst.
I expect Espo to call in sick tomorrow. If you call in sick tomorrow, I'll understand.
No, I'll be there. I might be slurring my words, but I'll be there. All right, partner. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it, buddy.
Take care. Have a good one.
Yeah, I can't get just a little bit of taste of college football. I cannot freaking wait.
I know. I'm like literally look at me.
Toe meets leather.
Look at this. I'm looking
Orlando.
at mock drafts right now because we started talking about college football players.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this mock draft is horrendous because of the number one pick.
I've seen some of these. We got to go through that the Kuiper one.
Oh my goodness. I haven't seen look at Kuiper. I'm on PFF right now, and
what are we doing?
We got Will Levis going number 1. Is that what we're doing here?
Will Levis.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson going 9.
He's the next Josh Allen. I mean, at what point do you just I got to get a football player with this pick? I mean, it's a flyer with some of these. We're talking about a flyer on Anthony Richardson. For God's sakes, what are we doing?
Somebody's going to do it.
The Bucks.
Somebody's going to do it.
The Bucks might.
If the Bucks want to do it at 19, I wouldn't hate it.
Go from the GOAT to Anthony Richardson. Think about that for a second.
I like Anthony.
Anthony. And you know what the crazy part about it is? Give me Anthony Richardson and some other things, and I could probably score more than 18 points a game. That's how bad 18 points a game is. It's bad.
Maybe.
It's bad. And you did that with Tom freaking Brady. Yeah. But it wasn't the regular Tom Brady, as we've talked about. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll do a little bit of that just to have some fun with the mock drafts that are coming out. Because, hey, Buccaneer fans, you got to pay attention to this draft. This could be a huge draft for the Buccaneers. It needs to be a huge draft for the Buccaneers in a lot of different ways. And they may be acquiring more picks. If Brady doesn't come back, they may be loading up on picks this year to get younger and faster. So we'll hit that. When we come back, Brian Bradley's going to join us at 11. We'll talk a little bit more Bolts, so stay with us. Quick break. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call, 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others, 888-325-0605. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship returns this March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of golf action plus a host of fun activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. Sam Burns, who won in a thrilling playoff last year, is looking to make it 3 wins in a row on the Copperhead course at Innisbrook Resort. He will be challenged by a top field that includes Jordan Spieth, returning for the first time in 5 years. The 2015 Valspar champ counts 13 PGA Tour victories, including 3 majors in his career. It will be a great field and great fun. Tickets are on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds tickets and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss the 2023 Valspar Championship.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show on this Football Friday, and we'll be talking a lot of football. Brian Bradley's going to join us at 11 o'clock, so a quick segment here. We're going to get into the Frank Reich hiring at the Carolina Panthers, and I guess as much as it's newsworthy that Reich was hired there, the guy that didn't get the job is probably going to get more of the headlines, and that's Steve Wilks, who went 6-6 after David Tepper, the owner there, instructed the GM to tear it all down, trade Christian McCaffrey, trade Anderson, their wide receiver. They fired their coach, and they tore it all down. And now they're hiring Frank Reich instead of Steve Wilks, who's already had a lawsuit against the NFL for having been dismissed after 1 year in Arizona. And now they're talking about the NFL has a race problem when it comes to hiring coaches, was the quote from his agent. So it's hard to deny what Steve Wilks did with that football team, because they beat the brakes off the Buccaneers the week after they traded Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. You know how this comes off to me? It almost feels like he's been punished for winning games.
Yeah.
Because
we tried to tear it down and get a top draft pick, and
you ruined it.
And you ruined it.
Like we traded.
Same thing with Brian Flores.
Yeah, like you traded our franchise piece.
Yeah.
Or we traded our franchise piece in Christian McCaffrey, which was very unpopular.
Yep.
You're not the one who got the blowback. I'm the one who got the blowback for that.
Right.
And you went on and you found a random running back, Deonta Foreman, 26, 27 years old, rushes for almost 1,000 yards. You are literally in week 17 trying to win the division against Tom Brady.
Yeah. And damn near did it. But you didn't do it. And what you did now is you've put me in mediocrity land. Put it in the middle.
You put me right in the middle.
Yep. I can't go draft the
You
quarterback
disobeyed
now.
me. That's what this comes off as. I hate that, because don't we always say, like, and here's what bothers me the most about it. This is where Steve Wilks' best argument is Jeff Saturday seems like he's the leader in the clubhouse to get this Colts job. Based on what?
He lost every game.
He won like one game, right?
Maybe one, yeah.
Awful clock management. He was literally the whole scriptwriter saying that we played. Oh, yeah. He was in town that day, so he got the job. I mean, I can't deny. I think Steve Wilks has a great case here.
And I don't even want take race out of it and just look at the performance.
Even logically, it's just it's
look
ridiculous.
At the performance. And I know there's always this, interim coaches. You always get the the players played hard for them, and the players want them, and they stump for them. And a lot of times it doesn't work out, right? I'm trying to remember an interim coach that worked out. Dabo Swinney comes to mind, and the players supported him and they hired him. There have been a lot more misses than hits when it comes to this situation. But how do you deny how hard that team played? I remember watching that game at 20-3, and it was a close game, but I was like, God, these guys are flying all over the damn field. They are playing physical football. They're like, we're going to go out and whoop Tom Brady's ass today, even though we're a bunch of nobodies. And they did it, and they kept doing it, and they physically beat teams up. I mean, how do you deny that?
It's the same thing last year. Rich Bisaccia, who I know you love because he's covering with Tampa.
Yeah.
He's
a leader of men.
He takes over
so is Steve Wilks.
Yeah, he takes over one of the worst situations you could possibly take over with the whole John Gruden stuff, the Henry Ruggs stuff. That team was going nowhere.
Golly.
Takes him to the playoffs, right? Within a score, I think, of beating Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken.
And the players stumped for him.
And what's he rewarded with?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And we're bringing in Josh McDaniels, and now you got no quarterback. Your culture stinks, and you got no future.
Yeah. And you think you're getting Tom Brady, but
how about, I mean, and even
but
Steve,
you're
even Steve Wilkes the first time around, which did he do a great job his first time around in Arizona? Maybe not. I mean, you had 2 wins, but there really were no expectations. You thought he would honestly have deserved a second year, but no, we had to get Cliff Kingsbury in there. We had to get the head coach that had never had hadn't been over 500 in his career as a college head coach, and now he's in Thailand.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do feel like this guy has been pushed around for a long time now. In
He
this
really
league,
has.
and all he's done is continue to work his ass off everywhere he's been.
And what he put on tape this year of this football team has to be respected. And clearly David Tepper did not.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, I mean, Carolina, I understand why they want to go Frank Reich. They want to get someone that's a little bit more
offensive minded.
I guess established maybe is the word I'm looking for. And the fact that he has the ties to Carolina. I think he threw their first ever pass.
He did.
In the NFL.
I covered that team in 1995 in Clemson.
Yeah, and I
played in Clemson.
Yeah, and I think Steve Wilkes, I mean, his agent mentioned here that they had just hired his daughter for a role in the organization prior to hiring Frank Reich, so it was clear that this was where they were going. So, and listen, part of this is that's how the world works a lot of times. Yeah. It's brutal, but at the same time, I still feel for Steve Wilkes, and I think he should be considered for at least other jobs around the league.
I do too. I mean, what he did, I think is exceptional. And getting guys to play hard and buy in is not easy. I don't think Todd Bowles got a whole lot of that this year, to be quite honest. I think he would agree with me when I say that, and sometimes, the coach can do his best, but guys this Buccaneers team was not a team that really looked like they were all on the same page. There were too many mistakes, busts. Coverage bust, day one installs, as Todd Bowles talked about, with that CD Lamb wide open in the end zone, touchdown against the Cowboys. And, you saw the Panthers playing physical football, and, I don't think their scheme was the best against letting Mike Evans go one-on-one.
And look at the court. What they get, 7 wins this year, Carolina? 7 or 8 wins?
Yeah, 7 and 10, but they were 6 and 6 after Wilkes was hired.
With Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker, Baker Mayfield, Deonta Foreman, Rasheed Blackshear.
Right.
Do I have to keep going?
And their offense was better than the Bucs statistically.
Yeah, it was.
Scored more points. Certainly.
But no, we don't need you, Steve Wilkes. Thank you, but no thanks.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Brian Bradley's going to join us. Watched the game with him last night a little bit. We'll talk some more Lightning. Then we'll get back into the Buccaneers. Look ahead to the championship games this weekend. We're going to look at the draft, the NFL draft. The first mock drafts are out. Mel Kiper has the Bucs taking somebody we've never heard of, but I think it's a position of need. So we'll talk about that on our 11 o'clock hour. Quick break. Brian Bradley coming up. Stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance, because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah. So call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years.
The boys are back. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship returns March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of incredible golf plus a host of activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. There is more to the Valspar than just great golf. It's the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Snake Pit Club, accessible by premium tickets, and other great venues throughout the course for those with ground tickets. And new in 2023 is the Rooftop, a new prestigious venue at the 18th green with music, food, and fun. Plus, you never know who you're going to see at the Rooftop. Tickets are on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds tickets and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss the 2023 Valspar Championship.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or the wearing of the green. Saturday means Valspar Live, where tournament patrons will be able to enjoy country music superstar Darius Rucker with a free 90-minute show after the conclusion of play. And on Sunday, we're going to crown a champion. You don't want to miss it. one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you, so the weight comes off safely without use of drugs that only work temporarily. So call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. And Chris will join us each Monday at 11:45 to talk about your wellness and the significant injuries to athletes in the sports world. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you've been involved in an accident or your car was totaled and you don't think you got the settlement you deserved, you probably have a case. Find out, free call. Just contact them through the website at jeeveslawgroup.com. Tell them JP sent you, and you might have a case. That's a good way to make some money. So if your car's been totaled in the last few years, you might still have a case. So give them a call, jeeveslawgroup.com. All right, let's talk to our good friend Brian Bradley, the Lightning's first all-star and leading scorer back in the day, and now he gets to watch all the games with me in the Chase Club. He's so lucky. And there we are, or at least you are, having a beer or two. I stay completely sober during my working hours, as you well know. What's up, partner? How are you? That was a fun one last night. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a great game, JP. You know what? It was like a playoff game. I mean, the atmosphere in the building, the Bruins fans were cheering, the Lightning fans were trying to over-cheer them. And it felt like the first time all year, I can honestly say it really felt like a playoff game in the building. And it was a great game. I mean, you know what? I thought Bazzi was outstanding, and you know their goalie Lindholm, he was excellent in that too. I mean, you know, it was a battle out there. I mean, you know, Hedman scoring the game winner in the third period. You know, they bumped into their goalie, but you know, it was just a great game, I thought, overall. I mean, it's fun to watch, exciting for the fans. I mean, that's kind of what playoff hockey is going to be like coming up in the next few months. But overall, excellent effort. I think one of the best games of the season to watch, and for the Lightning, you know, I thought it was great.
You know, I had some reservations after watching the first two games that the Lightning lost against Boston, thinking that, you know, boy, they're just a better team. This new coaching staff for Boston, they're playing a more free-flowing style, a more attacking style, and it's working for them. Clearly, that was their sixth loss of the year in regulation last night, which is just incredible. But I thought the Lightning showed up last night, and John Cooper challenged them and said, show me what you got. And I thought, you know, 5-on-5, and even in the special teams, the Lightning were as good, if not better at times. What were your thoughts on how the two teams matched up?
Yeah, you know what? I thought there was, you know, like I told you, JP, I thought it was a really good game. I mean, you know what? Anytime you talk about the Boston Bruins, you know, one of the things they've always had is Tuukka Rask in net, and Olmark has played really well for them. Yeah. He's exceptionally well this season, and you know what? When you talk about how they can get further in the playoffs or be better, I mean, you talk about their goaltending right away, because you know what? Bergeron, you know, Marchand scored a goal. Pasternak made a great pass to, you know, Krejci for a goal. I mean, they've got a good team. Taylor Hall. They've got lots of players. You know, I mean, DeBrusk is out and he'll be back, but they've got a really tough team right there. Like in terms of not physical, but you know what? They play a great game, and their record, and they're coached really well. They don't let teams beat themselves. You know, if they don't make mistakes where, you know, you make a mistake, you turn the puck over, the other team scores a goal. They never beat themselves.
Right.
They're so good. They keep themselves in games. And, you know, at the end of the day, they score a few goals. They let the other team make a mistake, and then they get up another goal. And then they go keep playing the same way, and they grind it down, and then the other team's pressing. They make another bad turnover, and then they get another goal. Next thing you know, it's 1-1, 2-1, it's 5-1, and it's game over. So they play exceptionally well. I thought it was, you know, a great game to watch. I mean, you know what, Braden Point and, you know, Kucherov had 3 assists, and I mean, you know what, it was fun. You know, Stamkos, you know, he had another assist. I thought Hedman had a great game. I mean, you know what, Brendan Hagel. I mean, that was a great goal by Brendan Hagel. You know, gets a puck from Kucherov on the PP. You know, and you know, he does looks like he's going to go backhand, goes to his other side and goes top shelf. That was a goal scorer's goal. I mean, a lot of guys would panic, but you know what? He's been in the league a couple of years now. He took his time, made a great play. So, I mean, I like the way he played. Nick Paul. I mean, Corey Perry got himself involved in a fight.
Yeah, he did.
You know what? At the end of the day, I mean, you know what? Vasilevsky to me was great in net. I mean, I thought Victor Hedman's playing better and better every game. Kucherov had 3 assists and like the shots. And, I will say that, the guy that no one's going to talk about in the game is Cirelli.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because you know what? On the faceoffs, Bergeron's usually unbeatable on faceoffs at 60, 70, 80%. Cirelli went 12 wins and 5 losses against Bergeron. And you know what? Those are huge draws. I think he went 4 for 5 at the end of the game.
Yep.
And you know what? Cirelli's a defensive player. He might not put up numbers yet like Bergeron, but he's that type of player that could be the next Bergeron. And you know what? He was great defensively. And you know what? That's how you win championships. That's why those guys have won a couple Stanley Cups. They know how to win. It's a complete effort. Guys are in their face, Maroon, all the guys. I thought Bogosian was physical. Sergachev, Chernak, they're all very physical last night in the game, and I loved it.
Yeah, and Brandon Hagel, you mentioned him, and I'm glad you did because I thought there at times he might have been the best player on the ice for the Lightning, and it seems like on the goal, like you had 2 guys converged right away to Kucherov at a point to the point where he could have walked right in and shot, right? And he ended up passing it out, and then he still was just sitting in front of the net wide open, and he converts that chance. I mean, 19 goals in 40-something games this year? He had 25 last year between Chicago and Tampa. He's probably going to score 30 goals. I mean, yet again, right, another guy that teams have to kind of worry about, no?
Oh, yeah, Brendan Hagel, no, for sure. Like I said, he's, the goal he scored last night on the power play when, Kucherov passed it in front. That was just a great goal. I mean, you know what? I mean, you're looking at him right now. He's got 19 goals. He's got 41 points this year. So, I mean, you know what? He's going to get 30 goals, 100%. So but he's starting to feel his game and get better and better every game. I mean, a lot of people were disappointed at how he was playing. But he came into a situation last year not knowing what was going on. He was moved all over. But I think he's found his spot. He looks really good. That line, Braden Point's playing exceptionally well. And, you can't. I mean, Kucherov and Braden Point are world-class players. Let's be honest. They are on a different planet than most people. And Stamkos can shoot the puck and Hedman, and I thought Vazzy. But you know what? Nick Paul and Brendan Hagel, I mean, you got to give Julian Breezeball a lot of credit. He took a lot of flack, maybe a bit, for some of these trades we made at the end of the year. But you know what? Those guys are playing exceptionally well. I love both of them. Nick Paul got in a fight. He's physical. He scores some goals. But Brendan Hagel, to me, I mean, he's been the guy I think all year has been consistently, and he's played exceptionally well. And I love the way his game is. He's not afraid to get involved. He's not afraid to go in the corners and pay the price to score some dirty goals. And that's what you need.
Brian Bradley joining us here. The atmosphere was tremendous last night. So many Boston fans. I kind of like it in some ways. I know Lightning fans get kind of pissed off, but it brings a different energy to the building. I mean, it's like Lightning fans aren't as many because there was probably 8,000 Boston fans there last night, but the Lightning fans get into it more because they have to shout over the Boston fans. And is there anything better, Brads, than watching all those Bees jerseys tuck their tails and walk out of the arena with their head down? I freaking love it.
Yeah.
What an atmosphere.
They can go get some of that clam chowder. The clam chowder, they can go back to that and have some little clam chowder. There's a guy on the elevator when we got in there. He was talking to me. He's a Bruins fan. He was talking to me so fast, I had no idea what he was saying. It's like, the way his Boston accent. But, they were walking around last night. Let's be honest, JP, and everybody was there. Those guys were walking around. What are their records? 38-5?
Yeah,
they were walking around like they're peacocks. Their heads were strut up. Their shoulders were up high. Like they just won 7 Stanley Cups in a row. And you know what? We went out there and, I said before the game, we're going to win tonight. I really did. I said, we're going to beat these guys tonight. I don't care what anybody says. The Bruins have been hot lately, but you know what? The Lightning can play. Vazzy's going to step up his game. I like Hedman, the way he moves up to play. I think when Hedman, when Hedman starts to play and Vazzy gets the confidence, I mean, when Victor Hedman, to me, when he starts to jump in that play, you know what? Not just stay back and be a defensive defenseman and, do everything great, power play, but when Victor Hedman, to me, jumps into play, not all the time, but he knows how to read the play.
Yep.
When he goes up the ice and, sees an odd man rush and sometimes carries it up the ice with his speed because he can get back, he's a game changer.
Yep.
He reminds me so much of Ray Bourque back in the day that can shoot the puck, set up plays. And when Ray had a chance to go up the ice and he saw a 3-on-2 or made it a 4-on-2, he would score a lot of times. And you know what? When Victor Hedman does that, he elevates his game to a totally different level than most players in the NHL. And that's what Cale Makar does for Colorado.
Right.
Cale Makar is not afraid to go up the ice and take that chance and score a goal, because you know what? Both of them are great skaters, and they can get back and recover their mistakes. It's not like they have to go up every shift, but they know once or two or three times a period, go for it. I think they can go end-to-end and score some goals. You know, Victor Hedman has that type of game to do it. And there's not many guys in the team that can do that. Let's be honest with you.
Yep.
I mean, defensively, I don't know if anybody else besides Hedman. Sergachev maybe a bit, but the other guys, they're not built for that. That's not their game.
No, I agree. And Hedman has not been putting up the goals. I mean, his points have started to come in the last month and a half, but he just hasn't been scoring like he was last year. So I think that's a big one for him. You know, you mentioned it, once Stamkos gets off 500, he's going to go on a roll. And he did.
Oh, yeah.
And he did. And he had another assist last night. Had a really couple of great opportunities. But as you mentioned, Ullmark was fantastic last night. But I think you might see this from Hedman now, get a little bit more confidence. He's been jumping in a little bit more. And if we can get him going from a goal scoring capacity, that's going to be huge. I mean, because you need balanced scoring, not only from your bottom two lines, but from your defensemen as well. And, you know, we had that a little bit earlier on. It's kind of gone away a little bit. But getting Hedman back in the mix will be huge. So I certainly agree with you there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I mean, you know, and they're just starting to kind of, they know, you know, getting into games 50 now and there's 30 left. I mean, you know, I mean, we know we're probably playing Toronto. I mean, let's be honest with it. Boston's record is 38-6 now instead of 5. And they got 80 points. They're way out there. They're going to set records, but we all know what records are like when you have the President's Cup and you lose four straight in the first round. We all know what that felt like a few years ago. So, and don't count anybody else, because anybody making the playoffs can beat anybody on every given night. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think we're going to play Toronto in the first round, and then it sets us up for Boston in the second round. So there's no easy way to win the Stanley Cup. But you know what? At the end of the day, you got to win each round. And, you know, we have the guy in net he's the deal breaker. I mean, he is the guy. I mean, he's the Patrick Mahomes or the Tom Brady or Joe Burrows of football. He's Vasilevsky. He can win any game with any team by himself. That's how good he is. And
agreed.
And Boston's had great goaltending. They just haven't had goaltending in the last few years because Tuukka Rask has been gone. So, I mean, now they kind of find a guy. But, I mean, these guys haven't won a lot in the playoffs. Like, Berbazi's won 2 Stanley Cups. It's a difference. When the playoff games start, it's totally different. You can't just say, well, I'm going to go in there and play the same way. No, you can't, because you know every goal can cost you a championship. It's a different game. You think different. So, you know what? Our goalie's won 2 Stanley Cups, been to 3 finals in the last 3 years, and he knows how to win. That's a big difference.
Hey, Brian, on a personal note, I saw that you were one of the nominees for the inaugural Lightning Hall of Fame class, and I'm looking at the guys that you're next to, like Dave Vanderchuk and Phil Esposito, Brad Richards, Ruslan Fedotenko, some who's who, and you were the first Lightning All-Star, obviously, first guy to score 40 goals. Just, did you ever envision you'd be on a short list for a Hall of Fame when you came to the Lightning in 1992? And how cool is this honor for you?
Oh, you know what? I think it's a great honor. I mean, you know what? When you look at the guys you just talked about, I mean, you know what? They're all like Dave Vanderchuk, 600 goals in the Hall of Fame. You know, Brad Richards, a Conn Smythe winner, Ruslan Fedotenko. I mean, you got Terry Chris, I think Jay Feaster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, to me, honestly, if Phil Esposito, I mean, honestly, my 100% opinion, he should be automatically in. I mean, there should be even a question mark of why Phil Esposito's on the Hall ballot. I mean, he's the founder of the team. There wouldn't be anybody here today if it wasn't for Phil Esposito and Tony, his brother. They did so much to bring hockey here. So to me, that is just like, you know what? If anybody's in the Hall of Fame, it should be those guys. Phil should be automatically, you know, chosen in as, you know, whatever, already in. So, but the other guys, it's all good. But I mean, the thing about it is when I look at it and you see the other guys, I mean, you got to remember the first, you know, 6-7 years we played here from 92 to 99 when I was with the team. I mean, if we would have just flopped out, you know, played like crap, we could have been another, you know, Atlanta going to Winnipeg.
Yes,
so, I mean,
absolutely.
You know, we came here, we played hard, we did what we had to do. And you know what? We tried to make it as best so fans would come to the games. And, you know, and we didn't have the greatest teams. We didn't have the most talent, but, you know, we worked hard. And And all the guys we played with back then set it up for the Stanley Cups in 2004 and our Stanley Cups now, 3 cups in 30 years. But if it wasn't for the early days, the Pioneer guys, no one would be around today if this was a bust.
Yeah. No, you guys got to the playoffs. You did what you had to do to make hockey interesting, and you guys were out all over town, as ambassadors back then, and you're still doing it. So you've been a huge part of this Lightning history and franchise, and you're getting in. I don't know how they're going to work it all, but sure, Phil's getting in.
Yeah,
you're getting in.
I mean, I can tell you just from reading the comments here, because I think only 2 guys go in each year.
Okay,
and everybody agrees that Phil is number 1. But I'm telling you, Brad, there's a lot of people that are on your side to be in already.
You're getting in. You'll be in there.
Yeah.
You should at least have a Hall of Fame. You should at least have a Hall of Fame plaque next to your seat, next to the bar in the Chase Club. I mean, that should be the Brian Bradley corner. It should be a throne. Yeah. It should be a throne there instead of just a chair, regular chair. You should have your own throne. And that's just me talking, though. I think that should be.
Yeah, no. I mean, whatever happens, it happens. And like I said, for me, Phil Esposito is 100% in. And then,
of course,
whether it's Dave, myself, or whoever. I mean, obviously, maybe if I don't get in this year, hopefully next year I'll get in. But, like I said, you got to remember, they won the Cup in 2004, but the early years, the first 10 years before that, you have to set a precedence too.
That's right.
I mean, if we didn't play and we didn't do it, and there's a lot of guys that played here in that organization in the early days, Rob Rand, Basil McRae, Wendell Clark, Robbie DeMiles, Pat Jablonski. You can just go on a list, Joe Ricci. But, I mean, those are the guys who really set it up for the future. And, I think we did a great job.
You did indeed. All right, my friend, I will see you Saturday night, tomorrow night at the arena, Gasparilla. Hope you make it. Don't get get kidnapped by the Pirates.
There.
All right.
Los Angeles Kings, a sneaky team, so we got to be ready. They're 27-17, but they got some good young kids and they can play. So we just don't want to take our foot off the gas right now. We need to go for this one.
Yeah,
and we got a week off, 9 days off or whatever it is, so we can have some rest time.
All right, partner. I'll see you at the arena.
Over and out.
See it. Go Bolts.
Bye, buddy.
Great Brian Bradley right there. We didn't talk about this. Jack Edwards, the Boston announcer.
Yes.
Went into the Lightning dressing room to address Mr. Pat Maroon vis-a-vis his body shaming comments that he made on the broadcast the last time these two teams played, which actually turned into something nice. It's turned into a $60,000 donation for helping mental health and Strike the Stigma is the organization and program that the Lightning are working with to address mental health issues and body shaming issues for younger kids, so they can get therapy and get some help. And so that was good. That's going to help a lot of people out. And already there's a lot of talk about it, but I was not there for the awkward confrontation between the two of them. But I heard a lot from guys last night that were, and let's just say it was awkward. And Pat Maroon did most of the talking. Edwards had to take it like he should, but I'll give him credit for being a man and walking in the dressing room and facing him eye to eye.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. Eric Erlandson, I think, puts there, and he said he wasn't going to obviously disclose the private conversation, but he said it's still evident Maroon is still displeased with the situation.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Isn't this always been the protocol? You mess up, you want to apologize, right? He does that in a public setting, right? Jack Edwards.
Yep.
He sees him in the locker room. He goes up to him, right? And he, again, we have no idea how sincere he was with his apology. Maybe Pat Maroon, maybe he thought, okay, you're really not being sincere by the way you're talking. Who knows, right?
Right.
You probably won't know. But there's a lot of Lightning fans that were just like, yeah, good for Pat, man. Don't take that from him. And I'm like, wait a second. He's apologizing. And I'm like, isn't that what we want people to do?
Sure.
Is to go up to somebody and apologize to their face.
And a lot of them would not have the courage to walk into the dressing room. I don't want to give throw any bouquets to Jack Edwards.
I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying a lot of people are really
I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like, well, Pat should have just walked away and Pat should have just, glocked him in the face and all these things.
No,
and I'm like, come on, people.
We you know what? We have enough of that stupid shit in society.
It's so
now.
ridiculous.
You sit there and you talk to a man eye to eye. And if you're Jack Edwards, you sincerely apologize.
And it sounded like it's again, like what you heard and what Eric said, like he took it.
Yeah.
He didn't like fight anything that Maroon said. He took it and he knew it was going to come.
Yeah. Well, good for him. But awkward situation.
In my opinion, situation dissolved.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Which we will do. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. You may have heard about Bally Sports, and it's not really Bally Sports, but that's the name of it. Filing for bankruptcy. It's a group called Diamond Sports that basically runs all these regional sports networks, including Bally Sports Sun that the Lightning play on, and Bally Sports Sun or Florida that the Rays play on. And very different situations, and both very serious situations. So we'll talk about that and how it may affect these teams when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're looking for testosterone replacement therapy, great place to do it. Chris Lugo and his medical team over there will get you right. We'll talk to him at 11:45 each and every Monday to talk about the sports injuries of the day, like Patrick Mahomes, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. So get to know him on our segment each and every Monday at 11:45. Make him your new primary care physician. They do great work over there. So whether it's testosterone, losing weight, or getting your immune system boosted up, they do a great job. Back in 3.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance, because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah, so call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years.
The boys are back. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship returns March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of incredible golf plus a host of activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. There is more to the Valspar than just great golf. It's the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Snake Pit Club, accessible by premium tickets, and other great venues throughout the course for those with ground tickets. And new in 2023 is the Rooftop, a new prestigious venue at the 18th green with music, food, and fun. Plus, you never know who you're going to see at the Rooftop. Tickets are on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds tickets and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss the 2023 Valspar Championship.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately, or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Hey, folks, it's still engagement season, and where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source. The Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country, a literal jewelry supercenter with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. You don't have to wait to spend any extra time waiting for them to bring something in. They have everything right there in-house, so why go anywhere else? And you can get up to 15% off this January if you buy something with the birthstone, which is garnet. Garnet and Gold, Florida State. Get something for your favorite Seminole. And let's not forget the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Very affordable, real gold and diamond jewelry, always stylish and unique. Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching, modern geometrical shapes. Really unique stuff. Got to check it out. And, of course, Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors here in the local community. So let's keep it local. And you can get 0% financing for up to 5 years. Get a big ring for a little price. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll here towards championship weekend. We'll talk a little bit about those games here in just a little bit and the first mock drafts that are out. Brought to you by Italiano Insurance and American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services, the best in the business. I'll see him for Gasparilla, as I always do. If you're looking for a mortgage, I know the rates are higher now, but there's different products out there, and Scott is the best in the business at finding the lowest rate, keeping the fees down. So it may not be at the time that you really want to finance a house, but if you have to, you have to, right? And he will get you the best interest rates and save you as much money as humanly possible. And there may be obviously situations down the road where they can change your rates and have adjustable rates. So all different types of things that are out there right now, he will find it for you. Just give him a contact email. Just go to scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, and you will be working with the best of the best, knows all the ins and outs, and will take care of your personal finances and really, really help you out in many categories. So scott@amstampa.com. Speaking of money, my friend, there is a story out there about Bally Sports. Bally Sports kind of, put their name on these regional sports networks. So they're not actually the company holding the ball. It's a Sinclair Broadcasting is the group that bought all these regional sports networks a few years ago and paid a hefty price. And even at that point, I'm like, wow, they're paying a lot of money for these regional sports networks, and everything is in flux with the cutting of cords and streaming services out there, and people able to choose much more from an a la carte menu of what they want to watch and how they want to watch it. Cable bills going through the roof. The whole dynamic was changing. For 20 years, 25 years, it was just, these cable, the Sunshine Network, getting just hundreds of millions of dollars a month, and they were paying out these huge rights fees to these teams because it was worth it. It was good business. But now, these games are being streamed in other places. Everybody's fighting for delivery, and how consumers are getting these stations and watching these things have changed. So it's in flux. And I think Sinclair or Diamond Sports Group that's been kind of running this deal. And I've worked for these folks. I've worked for Fox Sports Sun and Bally Sports, and they do not cheap out on the production. I'm telling you, they have the highest level. You watch the Lightning games, you watch the Rays games, got the best announcers. The behind the scenes is as great a network quality as you want. They do not cheap out. That may be changing because they're going to have to lay off a lot of people from some of the business sports websites out there. They're talking about they have a $180 million, we get to $140 million interest only payment that's due in February. And Diamond is going to skip that because they're $8.6 billion in debt and reportedly preparing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy that will liquefy the sports media empire and is valued around $55 billion. So what does this mean for your teams? Well, number one, Stu Sternberg is one smart mofo. And he took an upfront payment, reportedly, of $375 million. And that basically covered the first, 5 years of their 10-year deal, I believe, $4 or $5 million. What?
Stop the presses.
What?
Stop the presses.
Okay.
Repeat that sentence, the beginning of that sentence.
Stu Sternberg, pretty smart guy.
That's getting cut.
Did you think?
That's getting cut up.
No, he's smart. He's smart. When it comes to money. Yeah, look at how much money he's making.
I just wanted you to repeat it.
No,
wanted you to repeat it.
I've never said he's a dumb businessman. He's a ruthless businessman. and you shouldn't be a ruthless businessman when you're running a sports team and try and squeeze every dime out of the public and your fans that you can possibly get and and run your team just to make money and be all about money and your personal ATM. But yeah, he's a smart guy. And he took all this money up front so he could keep it all himself, which he did. He moved it into a different business, according to the lawsuit, allegedly, the sworn testimony lawsuit, and moved it into another company that $500 million. So yeah, smart guy. I wish he would put his evil ways to work to help his team win and use his intelligence and his great financial brain for good instead of evil.
You may continue your original thought. I did not mean to open up the can of worms there. I just wanted you to repeat that sentence real quick.
Who's the superhero that went from good to evil?
Just continue your thought.
Anyway, he got the money up front, so it won't affect the Rays as much as other teams. But those teams rely on those huge payments from these regional sports networks. Now, the Lightning, I don't think their deal is as lucrative as it is for baseball. Obviously, they have half the amount of games, but it's significant. Obviously, it's a huge part of their revenue stream in terms of percentage. So I don't know what the Lightning's deal is, but it could affect them in terms of money. I mean, thankfully, Jeffrey Vinnick is a very deep-pocketed owner. Yeah. But I think it's going to affect the leagues all around. You know what it reeks of? It reeks of a financial bailout from from the federal government. Can you imagine the government bailing out billionaire owners? Yeah. Because it's such a public, industry. But these, I don't know. And they've been so grossly mismanaged, like in terms of Los Angeles, right? I think it was some ridiculous number, like 60% of homes in the LA market could not get Dodger games and Laker games because they were constantly fighting with these carriers.
How about we bring it local?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it because I literally have to alter what I have as cable or streaming. I literally have to base it around this network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not available anymore. You literally have to have either Spectrum.
Yep.
Or what is it? YouTube TV maybe?
No,
not even DirecTV Stream.
DirecTV Stream, which I did for a while, and the DirecTV Stream is awful.
Yeah, it's a terrible app.
It doesn't work half the time.
But that's it. Those are the only options.
Yeah.
Spectrum or
the Bally's app.
Which
is another app that doesn't work.
But it's been a colossal failure.
Yeah. And now, like a month ago, Diamond Sports said, okay, we're going to start streaming on Fubo TV, which everybody has access to. It's very easy to get access to that, and it's a reliable streaming network. I mean, the back ends of these streaming networks are clearly not perfected for a lot of these organizations.
I hate all this. I'm old school still when it comes to TV. I just want my damn cable. I want everything to be on a guide. I want to just be able to turn my TV on and it's right there, and I have a little guide button. I can just go through, and I don't have to keep skipping to go watch this. It's why I despise Amazon having Thursday Night Football. Right. Horrendous. I just hate having to keep going back and forth between. I hate it.
I have an app at Amazon. And I have the Prime subscription. I got to have an HBO subscription.
It's like, am I really
subscription?
Maybe it's like, am I saving money? Am I really saving money? I don't know. Because what ends up happening? I'm paying for Spectrum, but I'm still adding on Peacock and HBO Max and all these things.
50 channels or 150 channels that you don't even want. Like, literally, I watch about 10 channels. That's it. I don't watch, Food Network. I don't watch.
I like Food Network.
I do when I watch it. But I don't watch it a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I literally watch like 10 stations. That's about it.
I just hate.
I wish I could a la carte pick. Okay, I want this, and that's all I want to pay for. My cable bill would be like $30.
Well, don't they have
they don't want that?
Don't they have like Sling and all that for that?
No, it doesn't. You think they say they have it, but they don't. You still got to get all this extra stuff. It's been because you have so many different carriers. You have so many different people vying for the space, so many different delivery methods now because of streaming. Everybody wants to get make their package the most attractive. Meanwhile, they're still paying these exorbitant amounts of money to these teams, thinking that they can recoup it. Now, in the old days, they could because they kind of have a monopoly, but now there's so many outlets to get stuff that
the bottom line here is.
And I think, if I know my son, especially being the millennial computer hack that he is, he just gets, illegal streams. And what's the percentage of young kids that figure that stuff out? You go, oh, Dad, yeah, just
I'm not going to.
Here's a link.
I'm not going to reveal my sources. But,
right. He'll go like, here's a link. You don't need to buy that. And it's great. And it works sometimes. But not all the time.
It doesn't work all the time. And you got to do it on your laptop. And I want to watch it on my computer.
You're probably getting malware,
Exactly. It's not ideal.
Come along with it.
It's not ideal. I just feel like and I know I'm like the demographic they're going after by doing all this, but personally, I hate it.
It should be easier.
It should be easier. I don't find it that much easier. I think these Roku remotes suck, by the way.
Yeah.
I hate not having numbers that I can type in. Like, it all sucks to me. It all sucks to me, bottom line. And the fact that I can't.
It's not better.
The fact that I can't
more technology,
easily
but not
find
better.
a way to turn on a Rays game or a Lightning game is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's exactly crazy. Same way I felt like, remember when the NFL had the blackouts? And Bucks fans can attest to this because the Bucks were awful. And it wasn't there like a rule based on the attendance or something like that? Yep. It would be blacked out.
You had to have a sellout by like Thursday afternoon at 4:00 or some crazy thing.
Literally, my Sundays I couldn't even watch the Bucks game, and this was way before they had illegal streams. Remember that?
Yeah.
You missed 8 Bucks games a year when they had this stuff going on.
It was crazy.
I don't understand why it's so difficult.
Well, because they're trying to protect the rights, the rights holders, like the over.
What about the fan?
Fox,
what about the fan? Because without the fan and without the people that are watching and paying, you don't have any of this. You don't have any of this crap.
Right.
That's who loses in all these things.
Yeah. And it's difficult now because there's so many fingers in the pie. Everybody's trying to get their property. Amazon wants theirs to drive people to get Prime. ESPN pays ridiculous. They want to protect their broadcast.
The whole broadcast idea, the whole broadcast ideal, honestly, for sports, I just can't get over it. Like we're about to pay Tom Brady $37 million to call a football game for 3 hours.
I don't get that.
We're paying Joe Buck and Troy Aikman $20 million to do this. Like, all these contracts are so public, and it's like, where are y'all getting the money for this?
Exactly. That's what it comes down to. They think that they can just spend this money willy-nilly and it'll eventually come back to them. Well, right now the rubber's hitting the road for these regional sports channels. They're having to, the numbers don't work anymore. And you got to, and these ridiculous contracts for baseball players are part of it. You're talking that's one of the other things. I'm like, how are you as the New York Yankees? You're committing to paying Aaron Judge $45 million a year, 9 years from now. 9 years from now. Like,
you have no idea what's going to happen.
It's going to be,
no idea.
I've seen these movies, these dystopian movies. I know what's happening to New York. They're going to blow up the bridges, cage it off. It's going to be nothing but inmates in there. That's what's happening. We know that. How are they going to pay Aaron Judge $45 million? My point is, the world is changing so rapidly that how they can, and especially in the broadcast industry, baseball has declining viewership anyway. But yeah, we're gonna commit to paying these guys $45 million a year, 8 years from now. And that's revenue is tied to a lot of the the Yankees.
Well, can't you say the same about the NBA? The NBA plays
all the sports.
The NBA pays the guys, or has the ability to pay the guys the most money, and I still think MLB
a lot of that money is coming from China.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but in the MLB have higher ratings than the NBA? No.
Yes, and the Rays have higher ratings than the Lightning.
Yeah, so
by a significant
amount, by the way.
Yeah, which is hard to believe, but it's true. Maybe it's because all the Lightning fans are actually at the game.
No, I don't
they're not watching at home. But yeah, it's true. So at some point, all of this stuff has to shake out. So, and I'm not here to tell you I know what that is, but there's going to be disruptions. There's going to be disruptions in terms of the money that's paid to the players.
I will just never forgive. I will never forgive any of these networks, and I don't know whose decision it was when during the 2020 season. Remember that abbreviated season for the Rays?
Mm-hmm.
It was only like a 60-game season, I think.
Yeah.
At like game 30, I was still in college. I came back to my dorm to turn on the Rays game. I no longer had the channel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell happened?
And that's about rights fees.
They did it during the middle of the season. Yeah. They just decided to say, oh, no more.
And that's about rights fees. You see these things come up all the time. I
just won't forgive them for this
News
stuff.
Channel 8 will not be carried on this particular cable system because we could not come to an agreement. And it's these content providers, it's constant push and pull.
That was in 2020, like with Frontier. It's 2023 and Frontier, which is like that might be like the biggest or the second biggest service for cable in Tampa Bay.
I think the second.
And we don't have Valley Sports still.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Espo the other day. He's like, I got Frontier. I can't even see the Lightning games. Phil Esposito. I'm like, well, you got to get that Valley Sports app. He's the thing never works.
Phil Esposito's going to go do the app.
Right, but it never worked. Like, it's crazy. It's bananas, but it's got to be fixed. It's a lot of mismanagement in these TV networks. People at the highest level did not see this coming. Should have seen it coming. Stu Sternberg saw it coming. But I saw it coming. It's just this was like, I'm like, how can you sustain these numbers? You cannot, especially if you're not going to do deals with these cable companies. You gotta make a deal at some point, get the money coming in, and let people watch the games. Because you know what happens when they can't watch the games? They go watch other stuff. And you know what? They move away from the Bucks. It's one of the worst things the Bucks ever did was enforce that blackout policy. I have a lot of personal friends that were huge Buck fans, but when they did that, they said, you know what? I'm done. I don't care about you anymore. I'm playing golf they started playing golf on Sunday afternoons. You know what they do on Sunday afternoons now? They play golf. They don't watch the Bucks.
Yeah,
and they were the biggest.
I remember
fans
that.
in the world.
I remember those were tough times. Those were back in the days where everybody had a stereo in their living room. Remember?
Yeah.
And we had to turn on and listen to Gene Decker. Now I'm not saying that's a bad way to listen to a game, but I had no visual in front of me.
Right. Freaking the 20th.
For every home game, I would have to try to go to a bar or something and find it, and most of the time they wouldn't have it on because they were all confused too.
Yeah.
Those were dark days.
BS.
Hey, by the way, just on the broadcasting note, because I actually was going to mention this, and Mark P just reminded me. Tom Brady's value to the broadcast is $37 million. No effing way.
No way.
Give me Greg Olsen a fraction of that. It's crazy. I wanted to mention that real quick because Greg Olsen did like an interview, I guess, a day ago. And, he kind of selfishly is hoping that Brady doesn't retire because he's really enjoying his spot. And I don't know if you've noticed, he is starting to get
he's really good
praised as being the best in the business. Like everybody's moved off of Romo now and all these other guys. He's great. Him and Burkhardt.
I heard his first game. Remember, he did that game while he was still playing. I think they gave him an audition. I was like, oh, this guy's really good. He's very comfortable. He knows it. There are certain guys that can watch a play and just diagnose it immediately, exactly who did what and what happened. Romo's great at that, but Olsen is really, really good at that.
Well, a lot of people feel Romo has slipped. And I've heard, I've been I follow a lot of like sports media, people that cover it. And it sounds like his prep is not what it once was.
I agree with that.
And the further
he praised Byron Leftwich this year.
And the further that he gets away from when he played, you kind of have to reteach yourself these new offenses. And I guess he hasn't been doing that. And it's starting to become very
praising
evident.
Byron Leftwich?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about, bro?
Don't even get me started on Jonathan Bilba. I don't know where the prep is. I have no idea where the prep is there, but
zero prep, man. He just that dude reads national clippings and he's very conversational and a super likable guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you compare, and he essentially replaced Rondé. And you want to talk about night and day?
That's not a fair fight.
It is not a fair fight because Rondé was on top of it and he was uber prepared. Yeah. I mean, you've heard James Petralka come on here and say Rondé would put out a preparation guide for the entire team on like the Tuesday of the game. He'd already have everything broken down on Monday.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, full tape display. This is what we're looking for. And the entire crew would have that.
Yeah.
I don't think Jonathan Vilma's doing that.
I don't think so.
Telling by the lack of detail in his broadcast.
I think Greg Olsen's doing it, though. And seriously, I think they got the Super Bowl this year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to crush it. And I think for my money, I'd take them over Tirico and Collinsworth, who I think are overhated, by the way.
I do, too.
I'd take them over them. I'd take them over – I think I'd take him over Buck. And when Buck and Aikman are calling a game, it feels big. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like Greg is so much more informational, a little bit more than Troy.
Yeah.
And then who are the other ones I'm missing? Nance and Romo. I just told you how I feel about Romo right now. Nance is still awesome. And then Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit is a little bit of a disaster, I think.
Yeah.
Of the whole big
ones. You know what? Al Michaels' disdain for the whole thing just comes through.
Yeah.
You sense it. He just doesn't like what he's doing. And it's like, you're a grumpy old man that doesn't like the situation you're in. I don't care. You're getting paid a ridiculous amount of money to talk about football. Act like you enjoy it. I don't care how bad the freaking game is. I'm just like you're above it. I've done he's one of the greatest sportscasters, Hall of Famer, all that stuff. But if you're going to do the game, act like you care.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that whole thing was just off. That whole Amazon thing. As much as I love Kirk Herbstreit as a college guy,
him and Fowler are fantastic.
He just doesn't.
He's not a pro guy.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have the same confidence.
So how can you honestly prep as much as he does during football season for college football and game day, and then try to actually do that for the NFL as well?
I don't see how you do it. There's too many teams in college football, and I don't see.
And the travel, I think he called like 50 games in like a 16-week period.
Yeah,
doing college, pro,
how do you keep
and all
your
that.
energy up for that?
I don't know.
It's tough.
And then when you were forced to watch, the Texans and the Broncos and all these other teams, like how do you keep your energy for that?
Awful. Let's pull up that mock draft because we said we were going to talk about that. The Mel Kiper mock draft. And who do they have the Bucs taking at 19? This is
the name has already escaped me.
Yeah,
believe it or not. Let me get.
And he's also got Anthony Richardson going ninth to the Panthers.
Ninth to the Panthers, yeah.
I mean, the tools are there, but my goodness, how long is that going to take for him to get good? And the NFL is changing. It used to be a long learning curve in order to be really proficient at playing quarterback. But the way these offenses are running, these guys are learning them in college, and they're just transitioning now to the NFL. And you look at Jalen Hurts, they get it. But Joe Burrow steps right in. Some of these guys just get right in, and they've got so many reps. They look fantastic.
Yeah, to me, in my opinion, like I know Levis might be a little bit more polished because he started longer, but I don't see like a talent gap that big between Levis and Anthony Richardson. A lot of people are putting Levis number one.
Right.
And I just personally didn't see it come through enough for my liking.
And what about Bryce Young?
Definitely the most polished, but the height is always going to be a thing.
Yeah, the size.
Which basically tells you the guy who probably is going to be the first quarterback is going to be Stroud. He probably has the least amount of questions of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think he's got the size, he's got the delivery.
Although he doesn't run really or move as much as you think he did. He didn't really.
And that's the thing, once again, about these quarterbacks that come from Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia, where they have these massive offensive lines and great running games. It kind of masks the fact that, in the NFL, you're playing in a phone booth. You really are. And it takes a different skill set to play in a phone booth as opposed to a grocery store. I mean, these guys, these huge pockets that they sit in and survey the field, they can step into throws. And that's very rare in the NFL. The guys that play under duress and play well, I think, are much more valuable.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get a read on some of them.
Anyways, I got the Kiper mock draft. His name's Keon White.
Yeah.
From Georgia Tech, a defensive lineman. He was at Old Dominion, where he dominated before transferring to Georgia Tech. Had 7.5 sacks and 57 tackles. His lone season at Georgia Tech as an interior defensive lineman, 7.5 sacks.
Boy, I really don't see the Bucs going interior defensive lineman. I see edge rusher. I see speed receiver. I mean, it doesn't linebacker. There's a lot of other places I would go before I'd go interior.
Especially since you pumped the draft pick in there, a high one last year in Logan Hall.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of money invested in Vita Vea.
Got a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not a position of need necessarily, because it is, because Will Golston, I doubt, will be back. Akeem Hicks,
big drop off.
Akeem Hicks, same thing. So
yeah,
I know you need guys on that line, but I don't know. It takes those guys so long to develop.
Indeed.
But again, a lot of this is going to determine on again, who knows if Brady's retiring. Obviously, you can take a flyer on somebody that's going to have to develop a little bit.
Yep.
If he's not retiring, then you probably want to get something that you think could be a day one guy, maybe. And I don't think that's an interior defensive lineman.
I think, I think Brady is not coming back. Again, it's way up in the air. I don't think he has decided yet, and I believe this is as good a situation as he'll find. But I think a lot of this is pointing towards him going elsewhere. But that Jeff Darlington report, did you have that video that people were referencing about him coming back to Tampa?
Yeah.
And again, it's just if Brady doesn't know, how the hell were you supposed to know? I just have to look at the situations.
The Jeff Darlington is always going to be
he's plugged in.
He's going to be the A1 source, I think, on all things Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's plugged into the Brady camp.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
So we can play this video if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a little bit of time here.
If there was one moment to define Tom Brady's 23rd season, we need not look beyond his own simple explanation. during his year's most complicated stretch.
I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of shit going on.
For years, Brady's age has been the way we have quantified his immortality. So now, to be reminded there's more to remaining ageless than the velocity of a pass, we became blatantly aware that life and football and everything in between isn't easy for anyone. From the day he announced his decision on March 13th to end a 40-day retirement, Brady's real-life challenges have collided with his fantastical desires to chase one more ring, and an 11-day absence from training camp provided the public's first glimpse of the impact. When Brady sat quietly at his locker after an October 27th loss to the Ravens, marking his first 3-game losing streak in 2 decades, the truth of his pain would be revealed the following morning. Brady and wife Gisele Bündchen announced the end of their marriage.
This team just isn't good. Tom Brady has a part to play in it, but this isn't the team he unretired to be a part of. I got it.
Tampa Bay's team struggled this season, there is no doubt. The offense never clicked. According to sources, the play calling became frustrating for many in the organization. But Brady also knows his own mental focus was gone for a bulk of the season. His physical stature, faced with 15 pounds of weight loss, was also in peril. He felt at times like his preseason anguish ended his chances at success before the regular season even started. That's not to say Brady is done. It isn't to say, even in the wake of a dismal loss to the Cowboys, that he's incapable of more. But after a year like Brady has endured, we are left to now wonder whether this season will leave him ready to retire or burning for more.
Let's go!
There have been times this season, according to sources, when he's been inclined to return to the Bucs to, quote, be part of the solution. There's people around him who wouldn't mind seeing him retire either, while sources say there's at least 2 teams that are interested in luring him to their cities. But first, Brady needs to breathe.
And that's the truth. He doesn't know what he's doing. And
he did drop a few nuggets there, though.
Yeah.
That Brady knew before the season started that his preseason anguish is what he said, kind of doomed the season.
Yeah.
Frustration in the building from a lot of people with the play calling.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Which, I mean, that's well documented. And then there was, I'm trying to look at all the nuggets he said there.
It's everything we've talked about. I don't think there's anything new in there except that he wants to, he's told people that he wants to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
At times. Did that mean during the season? Does that mean this now afterwards? I think when he really stares at this, it's going to be I think it's going to come down to 2 things, really. It's going to, unless there's something going on in Miami that we don't know about that has really attracted him, it's part ownership or whatever. And that's, do I want to play? And if I want to play, it's got to be Tampa. I really believe. And I think he's going to really search his soul and maybe say, do I really want to go out like that? Because it looked bad this year. It can look a lot worse. And, do you want to go back to the same place that it was dysfunctional?
Maybe I just, again, the Darlington, also the thing I just remembered he said was that he knew mentally he did not put himself in the right space to get through this season. So I think that's what we kept saying. Like,
that's right. How could you possibly?
You need to exactly. You're curious to see him free of everything that had gone on and back to being Tom Brady.
And that's the thing that brings him back.
That's the thing that I think brings him back.
I'm not going to go through that. Yeah, I'm not going to go through that crap again.
And if you're the Buccaneers, I think that's the thing that keeps you going after him.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're the Bucs, you got to do it. You got to do everything you can to get him back and delay this for one more year because you can.
Yeah.
Because you can. And it's, is it going to work? Chances are no. Yeah. Only one team wins the Super Bowl. But you're going to be relevant and you're going to have a shot.
Yeah.
If you go full rebuild, you're not. You're going to be irrelevant with no shot.
Yeah.
So if you can do it for one more year, then the Bucs can make 20% more on their key advertisers, then they're going to do it.
We already went over, by the way. So before we wrap up, just a general pick for this weekend. These picks for these weekends.
Yeah, we've talked about it all week long. I got Cincinnati over Kansas City. I think Mahomes' injury is not going to allow him to play as free as he wants to or needs to play because I think Cincinnati's better than them anyway. And with Joe Burrow, the way they're playing right now. So I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati. And I've already bet both of these games. I'm taking Cincinnati. I got them getting 1.5 points at the beginning. now they're favored. And I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles over the 49ers just because I think they're playing as well as anybody's a team. And I think their offense is more explosive and better quarterback, better weapons, better all-around offense than 49ers.
Fair. I'm going to go Cincinnati.
All right.
Right? And over there in Burrowhead.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going San Francisco.
Okay.
I've been on San Francisco all year. I'm not going to go away.
They're pretty good.
We're going to have the who's going to be the next Tom Brady Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to have. Is it going to be Brock Purdy or is it going to be Joe Burrow?
Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant's going to win the Super Bowl. These NFL script writers.
I'm calling it.
Wow. Who'd have thunk that? All right. Our thanks to Brian Bradley today and Corey Long, who joined us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe out there for Gasparilla. Go Bolts tomorrow night, and we will be back with you on Monday. And maybe we hear something on Brady. Maybe I doubt that we will, but you never know. So we will be back on Monday with more fun and frivolity. Have a great weekend. Go Bolts.